This is Beirut's famous seaside promenade, the Corniche. During the day, life here almost feels normal. But as night falls, it turns into a refuge for Lebanese families displaced by the fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. Ali El-Zain and his family have been sleeping here after fleeing his town of Barashit in the country's battered south.
نحن هان 4 عيال 22 شخص عم ننام بهالسيارة وبالبولمان، النسوين بيناموا بالبولمان والشباب عم يناموا هم بالأرض وعم بيناموا على بعضهم النسوين فوق، يعني مش مرتاحين، هنو قاعدين. أنا نمت كذا يوم بالسيارة صار يوجعني ظهري، ما عادش قادر نام فيها، عاود نمت من الساعة عم نام بالساعة برا.
This is the second time in less than 2 years that Ali has had to flee his home. He was displaced during the 2024 Israel-Hezbollah war when he had to take shelter in a school here in Beirut.
For many families, this is the only place they could find after fleeing Israeli strikes on their towns and suburbs. Volunteers and passers-by sometimes bring food or extra blankets, but for many here, the biggest uncertainty isn't tonight's cold. It is how long they will be forced to stay here.
The Lebanese government has opened up schools and set up other temporary shelters, but that is nowhere near enough to take in the more than 800,000 people that have been displaced amid the most recent flare-up with Israel. This school in central Beirut now shelters more than 200 people. Among them, Jihad Zahruddin and his family.
نزلنا ما معنا شيء بالمرة، هول الأغراض هن أمنوا لنا إياهم هون بالمدرسة، يعني كبجامات للأولاد وكل شيء، وأمنوا لنا مي وأكل عم يأمنوا لنا الحمد لله على طول كل مرة. والله نحن هون بنشتري الغسيل هون على البرندة، على الشباك يعني بالأحرى فيش برندة. يعني وهيدا المنفس اللي لقلنا من هالشباك، بنطلع لبرا وبندعي الله يفرجها. بلقي بتنحل هالأمور علينا وعلى كل هالشعب، لأنه تعب الصراحة الشعب كتير، الشعب اللبناني مش شوي.
The hardship is showing no signs of easing. A short distance away from the school, an Israeli strike hit an apartment building in a densely populated neighborhood in the heart of Beirut.
The attack struck one of these apartments without any prior warnings. The pattern suggests a targeted assassination attempt, and it is adding to the growing frustration here in Beirut, where many residents say nowhere feels safe anymore.
This is not a Hezbollah-controlled neighborhood, but signs that any neighborhood could become a target are growing.
It's a very peaceful area and safe area, but I think right now nowhere in Lebanon any area is safe, because you don't know who's living in this building, because people bring some of their relatives, some of their friends, and you never know if one of their friends maybe is one of the individuals which is Israel targeting. So yeah, no, but I think no one is safe right now. So we hope and pray.
Across the street, volunteers are mobilizing relief efforts. 8 women lead the Souq al-Balad NGO. Together with dozens of volunteers, they have been helping those in need since the start of the war.
So here we have the Mooney box. The Mooney box has approximately 16 items. We have from grains to fava beans, rice, and more. And every box is supposed to be for a family of 4 people. Souq al-Balad collaborated with the Cloud Clinic, and we're introducing now the Happy Box. The Happy Box is going to be for the kids, for the displaced kids. It's going to be a box containing around 20 items, from toys. There will be toys, jumping ropes, candies, chips, balloons, Uno, even coloring pencils and booklets.
The team relies on individual donations to raise funds and on personal initiatives to stock food and clothing for those in need.
نحن من أول يوم الحرب بالتنسيق الكامل مع بلدية بيروت، هيئة الإغاثة وورد فود بروجرام، مستلمين حوالي 5 مدارس فيهم تقريبا فوق 1000 نازح، بنأمن لهم كل شيء الاحتياجات المطلوبة from A to Z. وطبعا عدا هيك عندنا المركز تبعنا لسوق البلد، هذا بنستقبل فيه كمان كل شيء تبرعات، من خلال هالتبرعات بنوزع على غير بقايا المدارس اللي منا مستلمينها.
As you can see, now the boxes are ready to be delivered, and since now it's Ramadan, we also collaborated with kitchens to supply iftar meals for the displaced families.
In this kitchen, a team of cooks works around the clock to prepare iftar meals for thousands of fasting.
Today we are cooking fish sayadi. It's a traditional Lebanese dish based on fish and rice and some spices.
Back at the school, displaced kids are waiting for the treats. Volunteers from Souq al-Balad have arrived on time with toys and food. As the sun sets, Jihad breaks his fast. Back at the Corniche, Ali and his family also got a meal for the evening. He says he believes the war will end soon.
إن شاء الله مش طويلة، إن شاء الله جمعة وأقل من جمعة عشان نكون ببيروتنا.
But Ali's hope feels far from reality. A short while later, not far from where he was sitting, the Corniche was hit by an Israeli strike. 8 displaced people were killed and 31 injured. Hezbollah launched barrages of rockets toward Israel. Israel pounded Beirut and its suburbs. All signs point to a conflict that is only escalating.
And for more on this, we are joined now by Shawky Amine Eddine, a medical doctor and humanitarian affairs coordinator with the International Committee of the Red Cross in Lebanon. He joins us now from Beirut. Thank you so much for your time. We understand that the UN has warned of an imminent humanitarian crisis in Lebanon. What can you tell us about the situation for the hundreds of thousands of displaced?
Just today, the Disaster Risk Management Unit in Lebanon announced that over 1 million people are displaced from their houses. Those are coming from the south of Lebanon, from the southern suburbs of Beirut, and even from Bekaa. On top of this, today we have over 886 fatalities and over 2,100 people injured. These numbers do not even capture the humanitarian situation in which the affected population is living. Just let me give you this very small experience that I faced yesterday. Yesterday, we had a huge storm in Lebanon. The rain was pouring. The temperatures outside was very low, and there was a lot of wind. The same pictures that you were just showing in the report right now kind of show you what the people who are living by the seaside were experiencing yesterday. So out of 1 million people displaced, only 120,000 or 130,000 are accommodated in shelters. The rest are either trying to find places with friends, with families, members, or even taking the road at the seaside, or even trying to sleep in parkings or in their cars. The humanitarian situation is heartbreaking. When you go by the streets of Beirut, you see young people, you see elderly, you see people with disabilities, you see children trying to find a shelter. Those are the same people who are experiencing this not for the first time. Many of the affected population, many of the displaced have experienced this at least 2 or 3 times in less than 2 years. And this is actually devastating. On top of this, even when you go and you visit the shelters, the same classrooms that were having classes for students just a couple of weeks ago are now crammed with so many people trying to find a place to live in.
And I'd like to ask you about how you now see the situation, evolving, because Israel has now launched ground operations into Lebanon following days of aerial bombardment. We have seen this in the past. When a campaign goes from an aerial one to a ground one, what will this likely mean for the humanitarian situation on the ground?
To be honest, our concern with a ground operation is the same as our concern with any intensification of hostilities. It's the civilian population and the civilian infrastructure. The people who are mostly affected in any conflict are the civilian population. The people need hospitals, they need schools, they need critical infrastructure. They need to feel that they can return to their homes when things are safe for them to do that. This is what the international humanitarian law calls for, and this is what we at the International Committee of the Red Cross call for. Unfortunately, again, any ground operation would definitely result in further worse humanitarian situation, more displacement, and will eventually increase the humanitarian needs. That's why in any situation and in any escalation, the main priority should be to protect the humanitarian, the civil population and the civilian infrastructure.
Amid all of this, what's the security environment for your organization, for ICRC workers and other humanitarian staff on the ground?
Let me tell you what about the International Committee of the Red Cross. Up until today, the International Committee of the Red Cross remains operational all over the country. Our teams are still present in the south, in Bekaa, and even in the north, as well as our main delegation in Beirut. Actually, yesterday, our teams were deployed to hospitals in Bint Jbeil and in Tibnin to provide assistance to these hospitals that are receiving weapon-wounded patients. They were providing them with medical consumables, supporting the transfer of oxygen cylinders, fuel, ensuring access to water, to dressing sets, to make sure that the hospitals are still functioning. Up until today, again, the ICRC remains very operational all over the country, specifically in the south. Our main priority is to maintain proximity to the affected population, to protect the affected population by engaging in bilateral and confidential dialogue with the parties to the conflict in order to promote the respect of the international humanitarian law. We are working very closely to support the affected population, ensuring their access to the essential services and supporting the healthcare system in Lebanon so that those who are wounded as a result of the ongoing hostilities can still receive quality medical and surgical care. And in doing this, we cooperate very closely with several partners, including one key partner, which is the Lebanese Red Cross, who are providing emergency medical services and transportation of the sick and injured, who are providing also blood transfusion services, in addition to a lot of relief activities.
Among all of those things that you have mentioned there, what do you see as the biggest single challenges faced by medical and aid workers during this conflict?
I don't think that there's one single challenge. Unfortunately, the medical and aid workers in Lebanon are risking their lives on a daily basis in order to ensure access or in order to ensure the provision of the critical support and the critical services that they provide to the affected population. To be honest, the humanitarian needs in Lebanon are immense. There is no single actor that can respond to all these needs. The International Committee of the Red Cross, as well as other partners, including the Lebanese Red Cross and other humanitarian actors, are doing our best to try to respond to the needs. But probably the most challenging thing is the scale and the scope of the needs that cannot be covered by a single agency.
Shawky, Amine, Eddine from the International Committee for the Red Cross, thank you so much for joining us from Beirut. We appreciate your time.